I want to wrap up with two truths for us to take home. The first is that your affirmations really do matter. Your affirmations of others matter. And I know it can be a little discouraging when I'm talking about how, man, that one offhanded comment, it seems to stick out more. We know this, right? Especially when we've been telling ourselves a negative story and somebody tells us something that lines up with that story, and it just sticks so easily, and we can lose the hundreds of people who could come up here and tell you that that's not true of you. Your affirmation of others still matters. All of us have been hurt in some way. Many of us are believing lies about ourselves that simply aren't true. That's why we do this in community. That's part of why we are here, is to look you in the eye and remind you that that is not true, and here's what is. Your affirmations of others matter. If somebody comes to mind, if an affirmation of somebody comes to mind, for whatever reason, my temptation is to hesitate on that and go, I wonder if I should actually reach out. Nobody's going to be mad because you told them they're amazing, right? Your affirmations matter. And I'm blown away by how many times, if I am willing to reach out, somebody goes, that is so much what I needed to hear today. Because the truth that we can say into people's lives that counteract the lies that they are running through their own head make a massive difference, and it is why we are in community together for moments just like that. Your affirmation of others matters. And two, the story you tell yourself must line up with God's truth. The story you tell yourself must line up with God's truth. It's what we were made for. A story that you are fearfully and wonderfully made by a God who makes good things, who does not make mistakes no matter how you feel like you were made. There's a little verse a bunch of people like to quote out of a little book at the end of the Old Testament called Zephaniah. He's one of those minor prophets at the end that we don't really quote from because there's a lot of scary things in there that we're not sure how to deal with. But the stuff that feels good, we really like quoting that, and this is one of those. Zephaniah 3:17 talks about how God delights over you in singing. If you've ever been so in love with someone that you think of them and your heart jumps with joy, God does that every time he thinks of you, whether you believe it or not. He's delighted in you. He loves you. You are lovable. You are made for more than the lies that you believe about yourself. And so we line ourselves up with the truth of God about who you are, about who the people around you are. And yes, we all have our sin and our brokenness. We are all infected. This is part of God's truth too. We are all infected with sin that drives us to do things, this disease that takes us down, and we hurt each other, we hurt ourselves, we turn our back on God. All of that is true. And it is also true that you are forgivable and forgiven. You are lovable and loved. That when God thinks of you, he is delighted. That there is joy. That you are accepted. You have a heavenly Father who does not want you to walk around thinking about what a worm you are. He wants you to walk around thinking about how loved you are by the maker of the universe.